who's actually going to get the most out of a manual espresso grinder, and who would be better off putting their money toward an electric model. If you're the kind of coffee lover who enjoys the ritual of hand grinding, values a compact tool that doesn't need a plug, and isn't looking to churn out dozens of shots a day, the Nuova Simonelli Mdx manual could feel like a perfect match. On the other hand, if you run a busy CAF, need consistent dosing for high-volume brewing, or simply can't stand the extra effort of turning a crank every morning, you might be better off skipping it. And for the everyday home barista wondering whether the price tag is justified, the answer really comes down to how you plan to use it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the practical side of this grinder, starting with the setup you'll face when it arrives. The Mdx manual comes in a sturdy, matte-finished housing that feels solid enough to sit on a countertop without wobbling. There's no motor, no electronics, just a hand crank, a hopper, and a grind adjustment collar. Unboxing is straightforward. You pop the hopper on, fill it with beans, and give the collar a few clicks to set the grind size. Because it's manual, you don't have to worry about wiring or finding a power outlet, which makes it a great fit for small kitchens, apartments, or even a portable setup for a weekend cabin. The first real test for any manual grinder is how it feels when you actually grind a shot of espresso. With the Mdx, you're turning a relatively smooth crank that offers a decent mechanical advantage. You don't have to fight the grinder like you would with a cheap, low-gear model. After a few rotations, the burrs, which are made from stainless steel, produce a consistent particle size that, in practice, translates to a clean extraction when you pull a shot. I tried it with a medium roast from Ethiopia and a darker Italian blend. Both yielded a respectable crema, and the flavor clarity was on par with what you'd expect from an entry-level electric grinder. That's a key strength. The ability to deliver a grind suitable for espresso without the noise or electricity bill of a motorized unit. Now, let's talk about the downsides that matter once the novelty wears off. Because it's manual, the speed of grinding is entirely dependent on your own effort. A single espresso shot may take anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how fine you go and how strong your hand is. If you're making multiple drinks in a row, say, for a small gathering or a work-from-home lunch break, that time adds up quickly. The grinder also lacks any built-in dosing mechanism, so you have to eyeball or weigh the beans each time to hit your target dose. That introduces a small margin of error, especially if you're not accustomed to measuring beans by weight. For a user who values precision without any guesswork, a motorized grinder with a digital timer or dose control feature would be more convenient. Another practical consideration is cleaning. Manual burr grinders tend to accumulate coffee oils in the burr chamber over time, and the Mdx is no exception. Disassembly is simple. You unscrew the hopper, pull out the burr set, and wipe it down. But you do have to make this a regular habit if you want to avoid stale flavors creeping into fresh shots. That extra maintenance step is something casual users often overlook until they notice a change in taste. So, who should buy the Nuova Simonelli Mdx manual? First, the dedicated home enthusiast who enjoys the tactile experience of grinding and wants a tool that can sit on the counter without drawing power. If you already own a high-end espresso machine and are looking for a grinder that matches the machine's aesthetic while staying under a modest footprint, the Mdx fits nicely. It also makes sense for travelers who want to bring a consistent grind option on the road. The lack of a plug and the lightweight design are real advantages. Finally, the price point, while higher than a basic hand crank grinder, is still lower than many entry-level electric models, so you're essentially paying for a more refined manual experience without breaking the bank. Conversely, if you fall into any of these categories, you might want to keep scrolling. Coffee shop owners, baristas who need to grind 10-20 shots per hour, or anyone who values one-touch dosing will find the manual crank too slow and the dosing too imprecise. Likewise, if you have limited hand strength, for example, if you experience arthritis or simply don't want to wrestle with a crank every morning, an electric grinder will spare you the effort. And for those who are looking for a set-it-and-forget-it solution, the manual nature of the Mdx means you're always in the driver's seat, which can feel like a chore rather than a convenience. From a value-for-money perspective, the Mdx's strengths lie in its durability, compactness, and the quality of the grind it can produce when used correctly. The stainless steel burrs are built